Okay, well, it's a real pleasure for me to be part of this event, the launch of the Rutherford Foundation. I'm speaking to you from the Royal Society in London via a video link that, 100 years ago, nobody would have imagined could work like this, that I could be beamed to Wellington. And as you know, Ernest Rutherford was my great-grandfather. And Neville Jordan's already explained to you how he came to win that scholarship that took him from Havelock to Nelson College, and how his brother George had done the same. And from Nelson, he went on to Canterbury College, as it was then, to study for his degree. And he did very well, such that in 1895, he received his degree, and he also won the 1851 scholarship, which was the key to him going to Cambridge University. It paid him £150 a year and let him go there to do research. In fact, he was Cambridge's first research student. He went to the Cavendish Laboratory, that's the physics department, to work under J.J. Thomson, who was the head of that laboratory. And so, aged 24, he took the boat and he went to Cambridge. So, as I said, he was Cambridge's first research student. He worked there for 3 years. That's about the length of time that a research student works today. And they were really exciting times in physics. 1895, 1896 had seen the discovery of X-rays, of radioactivity, and then in 1897, J.J. Thomson discovered the electron. Wonderful time for a young man starting his research career, just to be part of that. So, as I said, he was there just on 3 years. The time came he had to leave. Where did he go? Well, he went to Canada. He went to Montreal, to McGill University, as professor of physics. And he was there 9 years, and it was the research on radioactivity that he did there in those 9 years that really launched him onto the international stage in a really major way. For me, also, those years in Canada were really important because it was there that he had a salary that was sufficient that he could afford to marry his fiancée. She was Mary Newton. She was his landlady's daughter from Christchurch. And so it was there in Montreal that my grandmother, Eileen, their only child, was born. So they stayed there in Montreal, but of course, as always, hotshot scientists are much in demand by other universities, and everybody wanted him. He moved to Manchester in 1907, and of course they were absolutely thrilled when a year after they hired him, he wins a Nobel Prize. What a plum! They really hit the jackpot. He stayed in Manchester until after the end of the First World War, when a quarter of a century after he first arrived, he went back to Cambridge, and he took over the Cavendish Laboratory from J.J. Thomson. Many years later, Ernest Rutherford and J.J., that's what he was called, were filmed. They were both Nobel Prize winners. They were major figures in science around the world. And they were both vigorously defending the value of scientific research funding. Now, funding for scientific research was tough then, and it's tough now. But, how valuable is the electron, or understanding the atom? Our whole society is built on what they discovered. So that's the man and his science, but what was he like? Well, he was obviously a lively boy, a scamp. He was one of 12 children, the second son. He had duties, responsibilities, chores. He had to dig the potatoes, collect the firewood, fetch the cow from the meadow, and, in the way of small boys, they have a bit of fun, and he thought he'd get the cow to help, so he tied the firewood to the cow's tail so the cow could take it back. And all went well until the wood got stuck going up the lane to the house. The cow ended up losing the end of her tail and was a rather chastened small boy. He became a big, bluff, forthright man with a twinkly eye, a loud voice, a great sense of humour, but also of duty and responsibility. And he was always absolutely passionate about science. He was a larger-than-life character and much liked. My father had very happy memories of his grandfather, and the photos show the beach, swimming, cricket. So there was a man, there was his science, but how did he get there? Was it nature? Was it nurture? What was the key to his success? And I think it was both. Both were important. One thing was his mother. She was a primary school teacher, and the education of her children was really important in that family. But also vital was the education system in rural New Zealand at that time. The isolated villages, 1 and 2 room schoolhouses, and dedicated teachers, but they were able to give bright children a really excellent education, and that's just still so important today. Education really matters. Knowledge, rigour, skill, all that matters. For my family, science seems almost to have become our family business. Not because there isn't a choice, it's because it's fascinating, it's such fun. I'm the 4th generation scientist, and my children are the 5th. I'm not a physicist, I'm a geophysicist. I'm a professor at Royal Holloway, that's part of London University. And for me, the fun, the excitement started as a child, going with my father, who was also a physicist, fellow of the Royal Society here, as was his father, Ralph Fowler, Rutherford's son-in-law. I would go with my father sometimes on a Saturday morning. It was a great treat to his physics lab. It was absolutely wonderful. And so for me, physics and maths was great fun. And it started at home and then it carried on at school. But obviously, for many children, science is seen as hard. It's boring. It's certainly not something you want to follow up. So our society today, we need the schools, the teachers, the museums, the industry, universities, all to play a part in ensuring that the next generation has fun with science. They need to understand it's a bit like being a detective. You have to put all those clues together, and first of all, you've got to ask the questions so you get the evidence. So really, on behalf of Ernest Rutherford's family, I'd just like to thank the Royal Society of New Zealand, the New Zealand government, Cambridge University, and all the donors to the Rutherford Foundation for setting this up. Inspiring children in New Zealand schools, and then making it possible for the very best of them to have the opportunity to go to Cambridge, following in Ernest Rutherford's footsteps, and to launch their scientific careers there, is just a wonderful initiative. And I just wish you all the greatest success with it.